Look at it, if you're just talking offensively, you'd say to yourself that we did a better job of running the football, obviously with the 162 yards rushing. Pierre Thomas had a very good day that probably got lost in the fact that we didn't win the game. But he had a very productive day, both in the passing game and especially in the running game. To be quite honest, we played faster. Just as a team, we played faster. We were more physical than we were the week before. So there's some bright side. The guys are down, but they're not out. They have a feeling of they're going to stay tight, they're going to stay together, and they're going to rebound in this situation, and we're going to stay focused on 1 week. We're not thinking about playoffs, we're not thinking about other things, we're thinking about winning this week. Total focus on the job at hand this week. What do we need to do in practice? What do we need in meetings? And what do we need to beat Kansas City Chiefs this weekend? And that's where their total focus is going. And if they let it go anything outside of that, it would be wrong, and I know they won't. We have a very good locker room that's willing to watch the tape and learn from the tape and move on to the next week. Any question? Is the job tougher than I expected? Well, I would have never expected to be 0-2, I'll tell you that. But obviously, it's a challenge that I'm up for, and I know the staff's up for, and I know the team's up for. So,
did Carolina target Corey White? You're always looking for a rookie in those kind of matchups.
Well, anytime you have a rookie in the game, they're going to try to target him until he stops it. And there's some things he did well, and there's some things he did not so well. And he'll continue to get better. He has the ability to do it. And then when you just have to master the experience of when you're playing against someone as good as we see week in and week out, you just have to master the experience part of it as you get going.
So basically it's on-the-job training, right?
That's exactly right.
Aaron, I know you said your team played quicker, played faster, and played more physical. 2 weeks, you've given up almost 1,000 yards total offense in two teams. I'm not asking you to pinpoint one area because it's probably impossible to know. Why is the defense playing so poorly?
I think my point was that we played faster than we did last week. Is it fast enough? Obviously not. Did they make some big plays? If you look at what happened to us, is they made more big plays than we made, and we made a couple. We didn't make enough, and they made more than we did, and that's the thing you got to stop.
But I know it's not. During training camp, there was a lot of talk about the whole new scheme being put in and players having to make an adjustment, adapt to that. And it seems like the adjustment's taken a lot longer, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot longer to see the fruits of their labor, I guess you could say, than I guess even you guys imagine. 2 games in and to give up so many yards, so many points, and just to like outmatched and just outplayed back-to-back weeks.
Well, I think we played 2 unorthodox offenses, as I said last night, and that's no excuse, but it is something different. And obviously, they don't see Drew Brees running the read option during training camp and practice that all training camp. They practice traditional NFL against a traditional NFL offense throughout the preseason, and we did in the preseason games as well. So, yeah, did that have an effect on it? Probably. When you're putting in a new defense and you're learning new things, I'm sure that had some effect on it. But I think that these guys are putting their priorities in line, and they're doing the right things. We just need to continue to progress, and we're going to keep getting better and better and better. And we need to focus on this week what we need to do to win.
Aaron, what's preventing the big play for you guys offensively? What's keeping you guys getting that ball down the field?
It's a combination of a lot of things. We're still calling those shots. They're staying deeper, obviously, when we trying to make us check the ball down. Teams don't want to have those big plays against them. So Maybe that allowed us to run the ball for 162 yards. That they're backing their safeties up deep enough not to allow us to get the ball over their head. And that's what defenses do. So we just got to continue to keep coming up with things that we can get over their head on defense.
I know that you focus just on one game, but do you look at the big picture? I know that it's a game predicated on stats and numbers, and everybody looks at the history and the statistics of 0-3 teams eventually making it to the playoffs. Do you talk in any way about that or discuss those numbers at all?
Here's what numbers we're discussing. The 3 0-2 teams that made the playoffs, and the last 0-2 team that made the playoffs and won the Super Bowl, the New York Giants in 2007, that Steve Spagnuolo was the defensive coordinator. And so he has close, obviously, information on how that happened that year. And we all have our own ways to go about it, but when we say we really are going to work on today and work on tomorrow and play Kansas City Chiefs this weekend, that's what we're going to do.
Have you had those conversations with the team or the coaching staff to share those conversations?
Absolutely. We did. We just got out of a team meeting just now, and we talked about today's focus has nothing to do with 2 weeks from now. It has to do with this week and this week only.
You shared the example of the 0-2 team.
Yes.
Drew took a couple shots. How's he feeling?
Feels good. Drew feels good.
You mentioned Pierre earlier. Running hard from the new form, but he was talking about what his performance, what he was able to do with his limited carries on Sunday.
Pierre Thomas. Pierre Thomas was very productive in the running game, and then he had one of his longest runs in his career. He does, obviously, he's always been a special screen route runner, catching the ball and setting up blocks and making plays, and he did that again. And then in the running game, he did a very nice job of finding the correct hole and making plays.
Aaron, last week you said you guys were trying to overcompensate, trying to do their job and then some. Did any of that go on yesterday?
No, I don't believe so. Nowhere near what had happened before in the first game. I do think this. I think this is this team needs to be compared to itself, and this team needs to. Everybody has to do their job just a little bit better, and that's going to take us over the edge. We can't think of the past. It's not the past team. It's not last year's team. It's not 2 years ago's team. This is this team, and we need to find what our attributes and our negatives are and solve those and use our attributes to our fullest potential so we have a chance to get this win this weekend.
The fact that you lost some key people in free agency and you didn't have a first and a second round pick, I mean, that's just reality. Is that at least made it a little harder this year?
Well, anytime you lose a first and second round pick, it is a factor. Now, we did have that first round pick with Mark Ingram is on our team, and that is our first round pick from the year before. We traded for it. So really we lost a second round pick. And is that a factor? Yeah, every time you wouldn't have a draft if it wasn't a factor. But I do think this. I think we have the guys and the talent on this team as they come together that we can win this week.
Aaron, I know that the drops are going to happen. By the receivers going to have to be fined yesterday by guys that only it's routine for them. Aside from that part of it, do you see your receivers making strides like they did a year ago? I don't want to compare the teams, but it is the same receiver core.
Yeah.
Like they're not getting separation, they're not making the same kind of strides, and Drew's having to hold it a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think they'll continue to improve and get open quicker. When you talk about drops, I mean, you're looking at a guy who caught the same exact pass in the Super Bowl, miraculous catch for a touchdown, and he did it, and he's done it in the past, and he'll do it again. And we're not worried about him and our starting receivers. We need to make sure the backup guys are pushing and making strides so we can put them in as well.
Aaron, can you talk a little bit about the evolution of offenses in the NFL and what we've seen the last 2 weeks with these multidimensional quarterbacks and the quarterback play around the league improving? How hard is it just to stop people? I mean, we see it on a weekly basis over the years with your offense, and I know some of those defenses are pretty good, but it just seems like the league continues to go in that direction.
Hey, our defense is going to get good. They're going to continue to improve. They're going to get this they're going to continue to have more knowledge of what they're doing and play fast and faster and faster. We're on an upward slope, and so there's going to be a good offense every week. And is it conventional that quarterbacks run in this league? No. And do quarterbacks usually last when they run in this league? No. People are too athletic and too physical when you hit these guys that it is hard for them to last when they try to run.
You mentioned the backup receivers. Could you enhance Camarillo's role? Could you potentially look to bring Tanner up from the practice squad? Are those things that are even under consideration?
Yeah, I don't think there's a need for that right now. My point was that those guys have to set themselves up for the situation when, like Joe Morgan got in yesterday when Devery Henderson didn't play, and Joe Morgan had to step up and play in the nickel. So that's the situation I'm talking about, and those guys constantly have to feel that way, that they could be playing this weekend. Whether they had a rep last week or not, they need to feel like they're going to be playing.
Based on performance, not potential in the past, is it fair to say right now this team just is not very good?
Our team?
Yes.
No, our team, when you're on the inside, you'll see that we're going to be a good team. Right now, are we a good team? No. We're not good enough yet. We're 8 point. We've lost 2 games by 8 points, so we're that much not good enough. We need to find a way to have 9-point difference in this game, in these last 2 games, and get a win. And we're right there. We have the ball at the end of the game with a chance to win these games. And you'd say in the first one we shouldn't have, and in this one, production-wise, you'd say, yeah, we should have had a chance there to win that one at the end. But that's how far away we are. So there's no way possible could you say we're not a good football team. Are we playing great right now? No, not good enough to win. But we need to be 9 points better than we are right now, and that's not asking a lot.
Aaron, are you getting to spend enough time with the offensive line on game day, making those adjustments?
Yes, I am spending enough time with the offensive line.
Is it the communication, their play, how would you feel like they're done through 2 weeks while you're kind of handling the head coaching duties?
Well, they've had their ups and downs like the rest of the team. When you're losing games by 8 points, what happens is you have 10 out of 11 guys on offense doing the right thing on each play, and sometimes that won't cost you, but other times it does cost you, and that's what when we do have our failures, that's what's been happening. It hasn't been a collective 4 guys on the same play. It's one guy. And sometimes it hurts you and sometimes it hasn't. But it just happened to be in the situation this year where it's hurt us more than other years.
Aaron, did they let you know about the replacement official situation yesterday? Or
Yes. Yeah, I did know about the replacement official.
Have you ever heard of anything like that?
No, but I've never heard of replacement officials or interim head coaches.
Right. Did they just notify you by text, or how did they let you all know that they're replacing?
We found out through media sources that, yeah.
Are you following in any way what's happening in New York with Jonathan today, or will you just be brought up to speed after it's over?
We're going to have to be brought up to speed afterwards. We have way too much to do to spend time worrying what happens. We'll find out after the fact.